Paleo hackers, welcome back to the PaleoX podcast. That means it's Thursday. Normally we have guests coming on and giving us their latest and greatest, what they're working on and whatnot. I thought this week I'd just take it solo and, I guess let me explain before we get going into it. There's two ways to inspire change. Anything you want to change, whether it be health, lifestyle, you name it. The first way is new information. So you learn something and you want to apply it. That would be, do this. But the second way is fear. And that is, don't do this, right? And I think so many times in the health community, we get on that kind of don't do this kick. And we develop this list of not to do's. Don't eat gluten. Don't eat grains. Don't eat dairy. Don't get your omega-3-6-9 ratio out of whack. And I guess that works, but I wanted to take a show to kind of focus on what to do. This is something I'm really passionate about because, what was it? Two years ago, I started developing the not to do list, right? And I had everything on there like gluten, processed foods, 3-6-9 ratio, don't do long cardio, don't. And I was kind of lost, and I was thinking, okay, well, what do I do? And it really stressed me out. I remember developing some unhealthy eating habits and body image issues just because I was so concentrated on what not to do. So I really found peace of mind with health and definitely more happiness by focusing on what to add in and not being so fixated and obsessed with what to pull out, because you're never going to have a perfect diet. Okay. So today's show is on the best 5 things to add into your diet, and let's get going. PaleoHacks.com is the place to be. That's our blog, our home. You can get recipes, find the archives for this podcast over there. Really cool stuff. And of course, if you like this podcast, the number one way to support it is to head on over to iTunes and just drop us a rating and review. Takes 30 seconds, really helps out the show. If you want to reach me, email me at clark@clarkdanger.com. All right, you ready for the show? I'm ready for you to hear it. Let's go hear about the 5 best health hacks you can add into your lifestyle. All right, health hack number 1. Let's talk about oil pulling. Some of you have never heard of this. Some of you are already doing it. Some of you have probably heard of it and never incorporated it. I'm going to tell you kind of the why and the what and the how of oil pulling. So oil pulling is ridiculously complicated. You ready? You pick an oil and you swish it in your mouth, okay? Now, obviously, there's some benefits to this other than just swishing oil in your mouth. In fact, it was practiced in India and Asia for thousands of years in their Ayurvedic medicine, one of the oldest oral health traditions of all time. It's been linked to cure and heal tooth decay, strengthening your jaw, pulling toxins out for detoxing, and yes, white teeth, pearly whites, get them in check. So let's talk about how it detoxes you. And that's kind of a catch-all term, but I mean, it makes common sense without going too deep into the science, because a lot of medications, prescription drugs, are taken sublingually. So what do? You have to put the tablet under your tongue and it absorbs into your bloodstream, into your body. Well, that passageway works 2 ways. You can put things in and you can also pull things out. And so that's what oil pulling does. It acts as kind of a lipid, a fat, to help facilitate that process of pulling things out. In fact, a lot of soaps need an oil to kind of clean you, and so the theory goes, pull things out of your dead skin or your bacteria, and that's how those work as well. So it's a really, really good cleaner is oil. But with teeth whitening, what's really fascinating, so the theory goes, right? I'm not an expert on this, guys. You can do your own research. But that the stains on your teeth, those are not water soluble, meaning you can brush your teeth till you're blue in the face and kind of go to the dentist and scrape or bleach them, and they're not coming off. It's because they're lipid soluble. So that means they need a fat or a lipid to pull them off. And so what oil pulling does is just that. It binds to the stains and can pull them off your teeth. Definitely when I'm consistent with it, which I need to be totally honest, I haven't done it in about 4 days. But when I'm consistent with it, I definitely notice a difference in my teeth. And people around me who know me very well, I see my sister or my girlfriend, they're like, man, your teeth are getting whiter, Clark. So this is a really cool practice you can do at home. So how do you do this? All right, I'm gonna give you 4 easy steps. Ready? The first step is you buy an oil. So you can use avocado oil, olive oil, sesame oil, sunflower seed oil. I believe in Ayurvedic medicine, they were doing, sesame and sunflower oil was the original ones. However, I really, really, really like, and you probably have it in your house, coconut oil. It's really simple. You just take a tablespoon and you put it in your mouth and you swish it around, it'll melt. And you can switch it for about 10 to 20 minutes, 1 to 2 tablespoons. And don't overthink this, guys. The first time I did this, I was in college and I heard about oil pulling, and I went out and tried it right away. And I thought that the more you swish the oil in your mouth, the better the effect, right? And my jaw was so sore by the end of 20 minutes that I had a hard time eating for 3 days. Maybe not 3 days, maybe like 2 days. But you get the point of the story. It was sore. You don't have to do that. Anyway, so once you've swished for 20 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever, do not spit this in your sink, because coconut oil at room temperature is what? It's solid. And then the summer comes around and it heats up and it's liquid. Okay, so when you spit it out, it's going to be solid. And if you put it in your sink, I've learned the hard way, it clogs it. So put it in your toilet, put it in your garbage, or spit it outside. If you want a bonus to this, you can add a few drops of an essential oil when you're oil pulling to kind of give you an added effect. So I like tea tree or lavender. Peppermint's also really solid. Any of those will work. And then step 4, guys. Okay, so step 1 is buy the oil. Step 2 is swish it for about 15 minutes or add essential oils to it. Step 3 is spit it out not in your sink. And the last step is to brush your teeth after. This isn't really necessary, but I like it. It makes it feel like it's finished the job. So this is a cool health hack. You can do this while driving, do this in the shower, do this while washing dishes, do this while, driving to the gym or watching your TV show or whatever. And it's a great way. It's great for your oral health. And it's cheap. And you can add it in. All right, the next health hack, what I'm about to tell you, you got to guess what it is, okay? It's been dated as far back as 10,000 years ago. Used by the ancient Egyptians, Romans. It was so important that it was found in some of their tombs, buried with them. Here are some of the uses of it. Keep trying to guess it, okay? Aftershave, deodorant, face mask, household cleaner, kidney stone dissolver, mouthwash, produce wash, relief of sunburn, wart remover, weed killer, dandruff healer, and dishwasher detergent. You give up? We're talking about health hack number 2, apple cider vinegar. So why use apple cider vinegar? All right, well, let's look at what the research says. I'm going to kind of go over some common reasons of why apple cider vinegar works, kind of what it is, and then, of course, how to use it. So a big claim with apple cider vinegar says that it helps you lose weight. This is one I was looking into because that's a big claim. A lot of people are coming on these blogs saying, oh, drink apple cider vinegar, it makes you lose weight. Well, good old WebMD had a really good study on it, and it took 175 in Japan, obese versus healthy people, and they split them into 2 groups, and they gave them either water or vinegar for 12 weeks. They had similar diets, they kept food journals, so they knew all this. Now, the only difference for those 12 weeks were that the apple cider vinegar group drank, I believe it was 1 to 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar before each meal, okay? And at the end of the 12 weeks, what happened? On average, the vinegar group lost 1 to 2 pounds over the 3-month period. So in addition to whatever they would have lost at the food journals, they lost an additional 1 to 2 pounds. So it's not necessarily a miracle when it comes to fat loss, but it might aid in weight loss, was kind of the conclusion those researchers came to. However, in another study, it showed that apple cider vinegar had significant blood sugar stabilizing effects. And we know from the show, based on the guests who have come and talked, that when your blood sugar is less on that roller coaster, peaking and falling, you get less insulin spikes. And when you have less insulin spikes, you have a more stable blood sugar, which can aid in weight loss and not being such a sugar burner, for a real scientific term there. Okay. Anyway, so Arizona State University was studying this, and they found that it was as effective as some diabetic medications for regulating blood sugar. I mean, that's amazing right there. The simple little apple cider vinegar can be as effective as some medications in kind of neutralizing the starch effect on your blood sugar levels. Other people have linked apple cider vinegar to boosting energy, removing lactic acid after a workout, having enzymes in it that fight fatigue, fight candida, kind of restore your gut bacteria. And then the last one that was really cool is how it balances the skin or the pH of your skin, rather. And so that can help with sunburns or razor burns. And acne was the last benefit a lot of people report from apple cider vinegar. So what do you use? Well, this is a good question. You want to look for the raw, unfiltered apple cider vinegar with the mama, it says on there. And the easiest one is just Bragg apple cider vinegar. You can get that pretty much at any grocery store. I know Whole Foods has it. I've even seen it in some conventional grocery stores. However, I will say, I love Trader Joe's with all my heart and soul. And you know that if you listen to the show, I bring them up. But their apple cider vinegar, I looked, and it was pasteurized. So you will need to go out and get some Bragg apple cider vinegar, but it's really easy to find. How do you do this? Okay, so there's a couple things. You can drink 1 to 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar in water. That's the easiest way. And you could do this right when you wake up in the morning, or before meals, or after workouts, or whenever. You just really want to drink the stuff, okay? Now, if you want to get a little more fancy with it, you can do the 1 to 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, mix that up with some stevia or maple syrup and cinnamon, and drink that as well. I've also seen kind of drinks, cocktails being made with apple cider vinegar online. And Hannah Kroom's new book, The Big Book of Kombucha, she was on the podcast. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago? I can't remember. I was looking through it, and she has some in there, kombucha cocktails with apple cider vinegar. So really, really cool. You can get creative with it. It doesn't taste too bad. Moving on to health hack number 3. Drumroll, please. This one is the healthiest herb you've never heard of. I think it's a herb. We'll go with that. Turmeric. All right. It's part of the ginger family, and it's got over 6,000 clinical studies proving turmeric to be the most healing herb out there. In fact, there were 600 benefits related to turmeric. So here are some of the best ones. And before we get going in this, it's kind of a toss-up between, okay, is this turmeric or is it because of the active ingredient curcumin? So for the sake of this, I'm going to be saying turmeric, but that might be interchangeable with curcumin, which is the active ingredient, okay? Don't get too caught up on the semantics there. So some of the 600 benefits, some of the best ones was anti-inflammatory, because I guess curcumin blocks some of the inflammation pathways, and it's also been called nature's ibuprofen. It's been so effective in that. Detoxification, another benefit. It boosts glutathione in the liver for healthier cell function. Internal cleansing, to remove plaque buildup in arteries, so the studies say. Anti-cancer. Curcumin has some of the most backed research around cancer. Depression has been linked, not from curcumin, but curcumin has antidepressive benefits. But you know what? The history on curcumin is really the selling point, because it's been used for over 5,000 years in India. I believe China caught on about 2,000 years ago with it. And then in the 1870s, curcumin extract was able to be produced in the US from turmeric. And then our studies got really strong there. Okay, so how do you add in turmeric into your health protocol? That's what this whole show is about, is focusing on what you can't do. The first way is to make golden milk This is popular in Japan and other parts of Asia. So you're going to need a saucepan. And what you do is you heat up about 2 cups of water, half a cup of coconut milk, 1 teaspoon of turmeric. That's it right there. Half a teaspoon of cinnamon, half a teaspoon of nutmeg, a little bit of ginger, and you can sweeten it with any honey, stevia, maple syrup you want. You mix that all together and it creates this really, really delicious tasting broth. And it's a good hot tea. It's perfect before bed. And that's a good way you can get turmeric into your lifestyle. The second way is to just put it on things. Just use it as a herb on your slow cookers or sprinkle it on your potatoes if you're going for starch, and you can just start using it as an herb everywhere. Third way, it would be a turmeric juice shot. So you can get some of this raw. I know Whole Foods has it. Trader Joe's just stocked it. You can just juice the stuff and do a shot of it. It's really good. And then also I've seen some external uses of turmeric, like a face mask you can do. And then last thing I'll say is capsules. You can supplement with turmeric as well, or do them in some tincture extract, but definitely trying to incorporate it in a whole food way is best. Now, before we get on to the next health hack, just some tips with turmeric is that curcumin, the active ingredient, right, is fat soluble. So you need a fat to increase the absorption. It's also been linked to be better absorbed with black pepper and lime for that reason. And then the last thing is more of a public service announcement. You want to be careful using this stuff, guys, because it stains. It's been used as a clothing dye in India for thousands of years, and it was used as a clothing dye in my house for about 1 day. I stained my favorite white shirt that my girlfriend bought me for Christmas, and she was not too happy. But luckily, we have that kind of what do they call that? The bleach pen or the Tide stain remover stick or something like that. It got it out. So cool story, Clark. All right, guys. The next health hack. Let's start getting moving and grooving. This one's going to be about exercise. High intensity interval training. High intensity interval training is pretty simply explained. I mean, people can complicate it, but for the sake of making this call as simple and to the point as possible, it's short, intense burst, all out. We're talking a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 on an effort level, followed by very low intensity cool down periods. You do this 5, 6, 7 times and you're done. Okay. This workout takes anywhere from 5 minutes to I've seen 30 minutes. So why do you do high intensity interval training? Why do you train at a 9 or a 10 for 5 to 10 minutes? Why would you do that? Well, there's been some huge studies, or by huge, I mean like really credible studies from all over the place. I'm sure you've heard of some, but if you haven't, what was the study I was looking at? It was Laval University in Quebec in Canada found that high intensity interval cardio helped their trainees lose 9 times more fat than those who trained the traditional cardio way. And I think by traditional, they were talking about kind of that 20 to 60 minute treadmill or just standard cardio. Okay. 9 times. That's huge. And then I found in another research study, high intensity interval training was shown to burn adipose tissue, so fat, more effectively than low intensity exercise and up to 50% more efficiently. It's kind of been touted in the bodybuilding community, and I've even heard it in the paleo community as well, that the best way to burn body fat is to do long, slow, low level intensity cardio. So walking for an hour every day. And some studies are saying that's not true, that actually if you crank the intensity from a 2 all the way up to like a 10, you can get more done in less time. And you know what? Just from a little anecdotal evidence, when I do this for the next 2 days, my grocery budget triples. I mean, I'm eating everything in sight. I'm a garbage disposal. And that's your metabolism cranking on. Really is. And it doesn't happen when I'm doing just a standard weightlifting workout, or I swim, or I go to the sauna a lot. It's only when I do that once a week high intensity interval training. I did it 2 days ago. I'll kind of tell you how in a little bit, but you can feel it. Okay, when you're doing this interval training, you can feel your body's metabolism sped up, ramped up for the next 2 days. So regardless of the study, it's something you can feel. But the most important part is that your heart rate is about 85 to 95% max. Obviously, it's really, really hard to get to 100, but you want that 85 to 95% max there. And then you want to follow it by low intensity recovery intervals, 50 to 60% of your max heart rate. Okay. And a common work interval formula is 2-to-1. So you want 30 to 40 seconds of really hard sprinting, followed by 15 to 20 seconds of jogging or walking. Personally, I've found that 2-to-1 flipped a lot better. So I'm doing one interval of all out high intensity intervals, and then I'm doing 2 intervals of really low intensity training. And I'm trying to get back into this, just being upfront and honest with you. I haven't done it in about a year, and you got to work yourself into it, because I tried to do my old workout and I was huffing and puffing and felt really bad that I couldn't do it. I couldn't keep up with it. Kind of felt like an athlete who tries to play basketball again since the college days and tears his ACL or whatever first time. A common prescription if you're starting out, what I did was I was just at the gym. I just went on my treadmill and I cranked it up to the incline. I put it at a 10. So you're going up a hill right there. And then I would do 30 seconds on 10 level intensity. So you're running at a 10 at 10. Okay. And you do that for 30 seconds. And then you crank it back down to like 2 or 3. And you walk until your heart rate gets back to, for me, it was 120. Okay. And then I would do that again. But the thing I would do is lower the incline by 1%, the grade, every single time. So the first time you're at 10, then you're at 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, and I stopped at 2, and then I just cooled down. Tabata Training is another protocol you can look into. They have TabataTimer.com, I believe. Tabata Training's pretty much 20-second ultra intense intervals, followed by 10 seconds of rest. And you continue that for 4 minutes. So 8 cycles. Okay. So there you go. There's that 2-to-1 ratio of working to resting incorporated. Now with Tabata Training, this is a good thing you can do with burpees, right? So you're doing 20 seconds all out max burpees, where you just go down into push-up position and then you jump back up, and you keep doing that over and over and over again for 4 minutes, and then you're done. Okay, that's it, 4 minutes. Or you can do that with squats, all out squat jumps or whatever, 4 minutes, and then you're done. You can do that with jump ropes. You can do that with sprints. So you can really fill in the blank and get creative here. But the hardest part is getting yourself to do that all out 9 out of 10 intensity level. All right, the next health hack, guys, the last one of the day. So sad it's coming to an end. This is the most popular beverage in the world after water. Can you guess what it is? Today we're talking about green tea. Now, green tea's been used for thousands of years, and there's a lot of kind of different theories out there about why it works. Some people say it's great for targeting belly fat. Others say anti-cancer, longevity, you die less. So we're going to walk over, I have 8 of them right here before we close out this show on the health hacks, okay? But first, let's talk about green tea versus black tea. What's the difference? Green tea is less fermented. So the theory goes you get the max amount of antioxidants from the green tea, versus a black tea has a very long ferment, so it might be less beneficial. So let's talk about green tea, okay, the 8 benefits. So the first one is EGCG. This is the compound in green tea, okay? One study followed 10 Japanese men, and they found that it had a 4% increase in their overall metabolism. Another study found that fat oxidation was increased by 17%, And these were all done in Japanese men. However, I also found studies that said green tea, the response is highly individual. And so I'm not actually sure with the EGCG burning fat claim for number one. But number two, green tea has been shown to burn belly fat, okay? Well, there was another study that followed 240 men and women, and it went over 12 weeks. And in this study, the green tea group had a significant decrease in body fat percentage, body weight, waist circumference, and abdominal fat, versus the other one remained the same or just did that normal progression. So, green tea might help you burn body fat. The reason is the antioxidant catechins. Let's talk about these for the next benefits, okay? Benefit number 3, green tea has been linked to anti-cancer catechins. It's been said to suppress cancer cells, especially in prostate cancer. And one study found men drinking green tea had a 48% lower risk of developing prostate cancer, which is the most common cancer in men. And in breast cancer, on the women who were drinking it, found they were 22% less likely to develop breast cancer, which is the most common breast cancer in women. Focus, mental focus is another one. Green tea has the amino acid L-theanine, and it helps cross the blood-brain barrier and can increase the inhibitory neurotransmitter GABA, which can have anti-anxiety effects and increases dopamine production, alpha waves, and has a synergistic effect with caffeine, which is cool because if you're drinking, green tea does have a little bit of caffeine in there. And so that can kind of help circulate it in your body based on the amino acid it has. Now, let me touch on that kind of anti-anxiety one real quick. A lot of you know I'm a coffee drinker, drink coffee since I was, I think, 11 years old here in Seattle. But recently I've gotten really honest with the fact that I get a lot of anxiety with coffee. Like when I drink it, I feel great for an hour, 2 hours, and then I crash hard, probably 4, 5, 6 hours in. And then it's either at that point of where I need to drink more coffee to keep going on that energy level, or I feel like crap and I feel like I just got wrecked. That kind of feeling after Thanksgiving. Brain fog is a better word for it. So I started switching over to green tea, and I felt a lot better. I felt like my mental clarity is much better on green tea. I still get that kind of energy boost from caffeine, that focus, but it has a more calming effect than when I was drinking coffee. And so that's something to throw out there if you're kind of, I don't know, you either get that crash or coffee makes you anxious. Just experiment switching it out with some green tea. Moving on, another study found increase in longevity with green tea. It studied 14,001. Gotta have that extra person, right? Can't just do 14,000. Elderly Japanese individuals that were 65 to 84 years old. They found those who drank the most green tea were 76% less likely to die in their 6-year study. So it's great. 6 years, 76% less likely. And I know some of these studies, guys, can have a correlation causation argument. Like it could just be people who drink green tea are less likely to drink fill in the blank, whether that be alcohol or whether that be, I don't know, soda because they're drinking green tea. So it might not be the green tea specifically, but it might be other factors. I'm well aware of that. There's still some benefits with all this stuff we're talking about today. Dental health, multiple studies have come out showing that it can reduce bad breath and prevent tooth decay. And the last research thing, benefits, there we go, word I'm looking for. Another Japanese study found that those who drank green tea had 42% lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes. So cool stuff with green tea. All right, so how do you use this? Great question. The first way, probably the most straightforward way, is to buy tea bags and steep it yourself. Now, if you put turmeric from the other video, from the other health hack, ginger, or mint in there. You can kind of make a diffuser or lemon and spice it up a little bit. And actually, the lemon helps the absorption of catechins. So that's another thing to think about. So that's the tea bag. The second is to brew it yourself with loose leaf tea, 1 to 2 tablespoons for 3 minutes, let it steep, and then you can read your tea leaves and see if you're going to die in 2 months, right? And then the third one is to get a green tea supplement extract. Now, of course, it's always better to brew it and eat it yourself. I like the taste of green tea, but maybe you don't, so you might consider doing a supplement. 1 cup of green tea has about 35 milligrams of caffeine, compared to coffee, which has 135 milligrams. So it does have caffeine. If you're sensitive to that before bed, definitely watch it. May not be the best idea. Last kind of public service announcement on green tea. You don't want to add milk to it. The casein protein inhibits the benefits of the antioxidants. And you want to get a good high quality brand of green tea, because a lot of the cheaper ones, nothing bad that they're made in China, but some of those have chemicals I was reading about in the processing of them, which contain fluoride and other, I think chlorine in there and bleach even. So some nasty stuff. Obviously, you want to be going high quality with this, okay? That is it. Those are your top 5 health hacks you can consider adding in to make you happy, healthy, and inspired, and not stress out as much about what not to do. We're focusing on what to do. And everything has a place and time. And I think kind of adding things in, for me personally, really made me like health a lot more than trying to have a not to do list. I felt more proactive, like I was taking care of myself instead of depriving myself of things. Okay, so paleohacks.com is the blog. Get our articles, recipes, and former podcasts over there. Really cool stuff. All our archives are on there for free. Clark at clarkdanger.com. If you want to get a hold of me, let me know what you thought of this show. Comments, questions. I love hearing from you guys. And then the last thing, if this show is helpful, please go over to iTunes, leave a rating and a review. Really helps us out. That's all I got, guys. We'll be back next week with a guest. I got to look who it is. Thanks so much for listening. Really appreciate it. And we'll talk to you next Thursday. Bye.